Okay, I'd like to call the Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting to order on this Wednesday, December 20th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Citizens who desire to address the City Council Board and Commission in person with regard to matters on the agenda. Is anyone here? There's no one here to speak. Okay, so we're okay with public comment. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Consideration of an action on the minutes of the August 16th Sugarland 4B Corporation, the August 23rd, 2023 Sugarland 4B Corporation special meeting, and the joint Sugarland 4B Corporation and Sugarland Development Corporation meeting held on September 20th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the August 16th meeting? Okay, so Director Ferguson and Director Lane, Director Goodrich, aye. I got to go back. Yeah, aye. Director, aye. And I also approve. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, so then for the August 23rd corporate special meeting, the minutes for that. Approve. Director Besesny to approve, Director Lane to approve. Second, aye. Director Lane, aye. Yes.
Yes.
I approve. That one carries unanimously. And then finally, the joint Sugarland 4B Corporation and Sugarland DC meeting held on September 20th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve? Director Goodrich approved. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second. Director Besesny, Director Ferguson, aye.
Aye.
Director Lane, Director, aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we got all three of those. All right, the next item is review of and discussion on purpose, roles, responsibilities, and functions of the Sugarland 4B Corporation. Anna Rodriguez presenting.
Okay, so today I will provide an overview of SL4B, the importance of economic development and SL4B's role in enhancing the quality of life in the city, and some examples of SL4B projects. A little bit of the background of SL4B is that it was created in 1995 under Section 4B of the Development Corporation Act in 1979. Now, the board has 7 members. They must be residents. They can serve a maximum of 3 consecutive 2-year terms. And the SL4B has generated over $134 million in economic funding since its creation. And it also receives a 1/4-cent sales tax to utilize for economic development and quality of life projects. And with regards to attendance, board members must be available to attend most meetings. Members shall be absent no more than 3 consecutive meetings. And if unable to attend, a member should submit their resignation. And City Council may also dismiss any member for poor performance. Okay, now the purpose of SL4B is to promote the retention, expansion, and development of Sugarland's primary targeted industries that create and retain primary jobs within the city and enhance the quality of life opportunities within the city. And as you can see here, primary jobs and destination venues that come from our largest employers create the demand for housing, which also creates additional demand for supporting services such as retail and hotel stays. Now, those sales tax and hot taxes that come from that increase the investment into public services that helps keep our property tax low and increase the quality of life of the community. Now, the sales tax that's collected by SL4B can be used for projects that promote economic development and cultivate the quality of life of the community. And according to the Development Corporation Act, Type B sales tax revenue can be used to fund projects that are also allowed under Type A rules, which are featured on this slide. And these would be for the development and creation and retention of primary jobs or expansion. Now, type B corporations are allowed to pay for land, buildings, and equipment facilities and targeted infrastructure and improvements for quality of life projects such as professional and amateur sports, athletic facilities, tourism, entertainment, and more. This also includes projects that promote and develop new and expanded business enterprises that will create and retain primary jobs. And this will also include streets, road, drainage, improvements, maintenance, and operating costs that are associated with projects. And some more information is that type B development corporations may issue bonds, other contractual obligations to fund its projects. And finally, the corporation is allowed to expend funds on promotional materials and activities, but there is a 10% limit. And it's important to note that marketing is very important to get the media coverage for the city that will attract businesses and jobs. Now, some examples of projects that SL4B has supported are the shade structure and pump track by the Brazos River Park, along with joint capital improvement projects with HOAs and POAs. And you also have a handout that has some more information.
Any questions for Emmett?
No questions.
All right. We're going to move on to election of officers, consideration of an action on election of president and vice president for terms ending September 30th, 2024. We will first do president. And I am nominating Mr. Kurt, even though he's not here, but he's been vice president. So that's why I was thinking he would be best for being president. And Steve second. He knows that something like that's coming. I mean, from past, from past. So, volunteer. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. All right, do we have a motion to nominate a vice president? I second. All those in favor? Okay, so now, but I do have a question. Because of that, does he now have to take over the meeting? Since Kurt's not here.
Yes, I believe so.
Isn't that right? Hi. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
Can we go on to item 6, annual ethics training?
Yep. Just read that.
Receive training related to Sugarland Code of Ethical Conduct and state laws regulating ethics and reporting responsibilities of the city officials.
All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Meredith, and I like to entertain. So this will be a little bit of fun. I'm going to teach you a little bit, and then I expect you to participate so that you do credit for taking this class. If you don't participate, I'm going to specifically call you out, or you have remedial training with me. So you're going to ask, what are we doing? Why are we here? We're going to play cards against ethics. We have 2 objectives. It's to receive your overview of the code, and because you have to, per the code. So let's talk about who gets to play. Today, members of all city council, members of administrative advisory boards, sometimes we let former council members and administrative board members play, and sometimes candidates for city council. I'm going to go over the entire code on the outside chance that some of you may have aspirations to sit on a different board or even run for council someday. So you're going to go, this doesn't apply to me. And it does, because I think you're probably going to do more, go farther. So we only have 8 basic rules we need to keep in mind, and I will go over these. So 1 through 8. So first one is conflict of interest, special economic benefit, and the item on the agenda before you. How do you know if you have a special economic benefit? Well, if it's a business entity, let's go to rule of 10 and 15. 10% or more of you, your spouse, or your children's annual income is from that business entity, or you own 15% or more of the fair market value or voting stock of that entity. Real property, it's the rule of 25. It probably should be the rule of 2.5, but I don't like to put that there. It's if you own $2,500 or more of the fair market value of that property. So conflict of interest, what happens if you decide you have special economic benefits? Well, you can file a conflict disclosure statement with the city secretary's office. You abstain from voting on it, and we're going to ask that you leave the room. I don't know if you're Astros fans, but they're really good at reading signs and throwing signs. And just so that you guys aren't doing the same thing, we ask you to step out and not to tip off your fellow board members. So relationship with the vendor, you get to brag. If one of the vendors on your agenda, whether it be this board or city council or a different board you may want to serve on in the future, if you, your family member, being your spouse, your parents, or your children, received $2,500 from that vendor the past year, or if you're related to them by consanguinity, third degree, or 32nd degree. So that time of year, you must brag about getting gifts. I can't be bribed because apparently nobody wants to give me anything. I wish you lots of luck, but I wish that your luck stops at $99. So you must brag and fill out a form with the city secretary's office whenever you receive lodging, transportation, entertainment, or food from a vendor. Now you're going to see this little asterisk next to the word food. So it's $100 within a rolling 12-month period unless you are sitting at the table or at least close enough with that vendor to have a conversation. If you have to listen to their spiel, if you have to spend that quality time with them and you don't have a fruit basket or a gift card, order that extra dessert. If you're a drinker, have that beverage, get a to-go box because you get to spend up to $500 if you have to listen to their spiel. So maybe you're more lucky than I am, but stick to the $99 and you'll be fine. Additional rules, we got 5 more rules to go over. Doing business with the city. If you happen to be a city council member, you cannot have a substantial contract with the city. And you're going to go, what is substantial? Substantial is $1,000. That is for the entire life of you being on council. So if you're a short timer and you only serve 3 years, you can do about $332 a year. You're fine. If you want to go the full 9 years, bring it down because once you hit that 1,000, you're in violation of the code. Representations and appearances. You may be familiar with the whole hat reference. Lots of people like to do this. So you have to remember which hat you're wearing. It's a little bit harder for city council to ever take that hat off. And P&Z sometimes has a hard time taking that hat off as well. But basically what you have to do is you want to write a letter to the editor, post on social media. You have to say, in my capacity as a 4B member, my opinion is this. In my capacity as a Sugar Land resident, this is my opinion. So you've got to tell them which position you're wearing. And then representations and appearances. So once again, if you decide to go in front of a different board, you cannot do that within 2 years of your service on this board and receive compensation. So if you're an accountant or a developer, do not go in front of P&Z and make money until 2 years has passed from your last service. You're on 4B. Now, the exception to that rule is you're able to go up at your own personal interest. So if you have a special economic benefit, Rule 10, 15, or 2.5, then you can go in there and say, as someone with a special benefit, I'm representing my own interests and there's not a problem. Misuse and disclosure of official information. You guys get to hear all the good stuff. So sometimes you have executive sessions and you get to hear about confidential information, proprietary information related to different businesses. We ask that you keep them in the room and you don't share them with anybody. And you don't use that information like maybe Martha Stewart and go out and make certain decisions based on that. So we ask that you keep those close to the vest as well. Participation in procurement. Like I said, if you're interested in going for city council someday, it's important to know that there are state laws that tell us how to procure different items. And so we follow those very well. We ask that council members do not get involved in any of those discussions. If we find out a council member has talked to that vendor, we disqualify that vendor and they're no longer able to do business with the city. We want a fair playing field for anybody out there who wants to do business with the city and make a council item, make some money. And we also want to make sure there's no kickbacks or anything like that. Campaign contributions. Well, if you decide to sit on city council and we get sued, we make sure that you do not take campaign contributions worth $25,000 or more, excluding attorney's fees and court costs from the person suing us, because we don't want it to look like they bought your ability to vote for them. So I went through that extremely fast, but it's one of my favorite topics. And if you like it as well, you can stay up late tonight and read a whole code, Chapter 2, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances. And if you have questions, since it is my favorite topic, feel free to call me or send me an email. I'm more than happy to waste a lot of your time. Spend a lot of your time going into more detail than you could ever want to know about ethics. So now, you've heard all that. You know the rules. What do you do if someone hasn't followed these rules, whether it be on your own board or a different board? You have a couple of options. You can ignore it. You can tell your best friend and have a drink, or you can file a written complaint, once again, with the city secretary's office. And that written complaint must be signed and sworn. It must list the name of the individual who you think violated the code, which should be an elected or an appointed official, current, former, and a candidate under certain things such as the campaign contributions. And it must be, the violation has to be within the last year, or you found out about the violation last year. So former mayor Probacek or Wallace, whatever they did, that's fine. It's been sufficiently more than 10, 15 years. There's nothing we're going to do about that. And so once that happens, the city secretary goes, thank you so much. Oh, it must be signed and sworn. So get the notary on there to make sure that you've actually done this. So the city secretary goes, yep, and hands it to me. And I look at it and go, this person's subject to the code. Oh, that is something that's a regulated behavior. It's been within a year, got a notary block. Fantastic. I call the ethics board to order, pass the buck, and it's now their problem. So they review it and they'll have two hearings. First hearing, they look at that piece of paper that got sent to the city secretary and myself, and they go, well, if everything on this piece of paper is true, it could be a violation or not even close. And they decide whether or not to move forward, but it's all within that piece of paper. So if you file a complaint, put everything you can think of on that piece of paper, because that's not fair. They don't think about it. If they decide that they want to investigate it, we move to the second, it becomes a full-blown hearing, and that gets exciting. So if they do a full-blown hearing, they go, yep, it's a violation. This is what they can do. Starting with letter notification, which is basically, I wish you hadn't done that, all the way down to recommendation of approval of removal. So you'll see the last one, that we don't just automatically take an elected official out, because if you're voted in, you're voted out. Good news is, if you violate this, we're not going to keep it quiet. We will post it on the city's website so that you and your neighbors will know that the complaint was investigated and they did have a finding. So that was fast. Before we play, do you have any questions? Okay, participation is required. I will call you out. So the purpose of the code of ethical conduct is
to establish standards of ethical conduct for officials, candidates, and those who do business with the city.
Thank you, Director Lane. This is not your first rodeo. The purpose of personal conduct and ethical behavior include blank and blank.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you receive a blank valued over $100 from a city vendor, you must.
Handle it and approve for two of the rights.
So I am at 100% on the candidate dinner. Nobody wants singing llamas. I'm going to have to find something else. 100%. All right. So confidential information obtained in blank can blank. All right, Councilmember Ferguson, you have to talk up. I'm not hearing much from you.
I love when you call me out. Feel free to.
All right, this question is for for Director Ferguson. If you would financially benefit from a contract in which the city is considering purchasing,
Llamas,
you should.
get a candlelight dinner.
All right. Would anybody else like to take that while he gets remedial training? Thank you. Okay, if a relative will receive a financial benefit from an item on this agenda for consideration, you should and blank.
File a conflict of interest or abstain.
File a conflict of interest and abstain from participation.
And if you have to abstain from voting on the agenda item, you should blank and then blank.
I like the burst in the song like that. That's great.
And see, these are not mutually exclusive. You could sing on your way out and then have a dance competition while you're waiting for the item to be finished. Okay, if you own property within 200 feet from a zoning item on the agenda for consideration, you must blank and blank. And this is a trick question because I didn't tell you about this part. So once you answer it, I'll explain it to you.
Abstain and leave the room and file a conflict of interest.
Yes, because in addition to owning, having an economic benefit of the item on the agenda, for those of you who have maybe experienced a zoning change near you, you'll receive notification in the mail if you're within that 200 feet. And if you get that notification, you actually have a conflict of interest because you have a special right compared to anybody who's 201 feet outside. And if you want to file an ethics complaint, a blank and must be blank.
Findings for
It's form filed with the city secretary.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
See you on Tuesday.
Item 7. Public hearing consideration of an action on Sugarland 4B Corporation Resolution number SL4B-R-23-11. The resolution of the Board of Directors of the Sugarland 4B Corporation approving a request by the City of Sugarland for landscape replacement and enhancement projects along US Highway 59/I-69, US Highway 90A, State Highway 6, Eldridge Road, and other major corridors in the City of Sugarland.
Good afternoon, how are you all? Unfortunately, I don't have cards against anything in this presentation. But first off, I want to give you an update on SL4B R2204 funding resolution from last year. One of the projects that we were wanting to do that we're still on hold with is the paving stones and at Highway 6 and Highway 59. We still have not gotten anywhere with TxDOT as far as funding that, or I'm sorry, as far as moving forward with that project. So we looked at areas to where can we still make improvements while we're waiting on that with TxDOT. So to continue the look throughout Sugarland, we added over 3,000 linear foot of flower bed curbing, primarily at near the intersection of Highway 59 and 90, right behind where the Porsche dealership is and the hotel is at. It helps improve maintenance and also creates a distinct line of separation and a very clean and look. The other thing that we did is we looked at other areas to where we can improve the landscape. We noticed that we had a lot of areas where the bank along 59 on some of these drainage inlets where the grass was eroding and it was hard to maintain and keep grass there and keep that aesthetic look. So we installed some concrete slope paving there. It helps not only with erosion control as part of keeping it beautiful, it helps actually our crews maintain it a little bit more safely. This one inlet that you're looking at up top, on a side note, we actually had a vehicle, UTV vehicle roll over in that area because of the drastic slope to it. The funding resolution that we're asking for, SL4B R2311 for this year, is for landscape replacement enhancement projects along Highway 59, 90, State Highway 6, Eldridge Road, and other major corridors in the city. The potential projects for this is additions and improvements to the TxDOT Green Ribbon project on Highway 6. That project was supposed to be bid in July, but due to the severe drought and weather, TxDOT held that project being bid until January. So it'll go out for bid in January and they will start that project shortly thereafter on the landscape improvements on Highway 6. Continue adding concrete curbing along flower beds, slope concrete where areas where if we identify other areas that we can have that improvement and any other potential landscape improvements. So this is one example where we would add stamped concrete. This is a strip of Highway 6 and where it is very difficult to maintain in a 1 foot wide strip of grass. We can't mow it and we have to use line trimmers. And so that just increases the amount of time that our staff is not only next to one lane of moving traffic, but 2 lanes of moving traffic, one on either side. Again, the concrete borders, we still have many flower beds along our right of way that we have the ability to add this curbing that keeps the mulch in the flower bed and the grass on the outside of it. Again, slope paving in areas that we can add that. And that is it. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
At the beginning, you mentioned pavers from TxDOT. Is that different from the stamp? Obviously, that's different from stamped concrete.
Yes, we would lean towards stamped concrete. The 2 areas that we were looking at that I came to you last year was the 2 pie-shaped pieces of grass at Highway 59 and Highway 6, where there's a dedicated right turn lane going northbound on 59 from Highway 6 and going southbound on 59 from Highway 6. And it's a funky piece of grass that we're looking at improving that area. and we've looked at options of stamped concrete, pavers, doing a Sugarland inlay, but we have not gotten any progress from the tech side as far as making that improvement. Part of the reason is all the utilities underground there that transverse that little pie shape of grass. Is any improvements we make is if they have to go in and repair a utility underground, what does that look like as far as repairing?
That would be the only benefit of using stamped concrete, pavers. In that respect, if you needed to reach
You would have to pull them out, but also,
utilities,
but from a maintenance perspective, pavers in that type of environment can be more problematic to maintain.
the reason why I bring this up is because I drive down to my boys' school in Ford Ranch. And TxDOT put in all these pavers and all the grass grows up in there.
That's why we like stamped concrete.
I'm like, why do we even do pavers if we're gonna have grass growing up? It just seems like it creates a situation for more maintenance. So
Yes.
I don't recommend pavers is what I'm trying to say.
And
Yes,
we do take that in consideration, just like on Highway 59 feeder road right here outside of Town Plaza. There was a strip that we did with these same funds where we could not get a mower and it was hard to maintain. Instead of doing pavers, we did stained concrete. So it has that appeal of pavers, but it is much easier to maintain.
that's all.
Any other questions? We need to open public hearing at 4:20.
I just wanted to provide a quick clarification. So her kind of went so fast because we told them we had a lot of stuff on the agenda. So there's actually two projects. The first part was reporting out on what they did last year. And then the public hearing part is requesting funds for FY 23. So that's what the public hearing, he reported on both, but that's what the public hearing's for.
So I'm going to open the public hearing at 4:26. Does anybody have any questions or is anybody here for the public hearing?
There's no one here to speak for public hearing.
So I'll close the public hearing now at 4:26. Sugarland 4B Corporation Resolution Number SL4B-R-23-11, a resolution of the Board of Directors, the Sugarland 4B Corporation approving a request by the City of Sugarland for landscape replacement and enhancement projects along US Highway 59/I-69, US 98, State Highway 6, Eldridge Road, and other major corridors in the City of Sugarland. Do I have a motion?
Well, now we have questions. Are there other questions? Does anybody have any other?
I've got no questions.
No. Okay. Does anybody file a motion to approve?
You need to read this first.
Yeah, just.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Lane, motion, any seconds?
The second motion.
What, Wayne?
I to approve, second to approve.
Aye. Jennifer?
Aye.
And I as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8. We have a workshop review and discussion, review of and discussion on an update of the contract phase 2 Escape Park relocation project and Old Imperial Cemetery improvement projects.
Good afternoon. My name is Foni Du. I think this is my second time presenting here. I'm the Parks Development Manager. First of all, I want to thank you all for approving the funding for some of the parks projects in the last fiscal year. I really appreciate the opportunity to give you an update, and I'm happy to take any input or comments back before we finish up those projects. The two projects I'm going to update on, the first one is the pump track shade structure, the skate park relocation, and the pickleball courts. And then the second one is the Old Imperial Cemetery Improvements project. Just a very quick recap on the pump track. We finished the construction in March this year. It has been very popular in the community. We have been seeing about 110 visits per day on average since the opening. In November, it's even more, like up to 150 to 60 visits per day. And then 45% of them are Sugarland residents, and then the rest of them are the regional visitors. For for the pump track shade structure, we back in November last year, you approved the $225,000 for some additional amenities. The first one is the shade structure for the pump track. The second one is to relocate the skate park equipment to from the city park in order to reduce the noise to the neighborhood in that area. And the third one is to convert the existing skate park to a covered and lit pickleball court for the community. So back for the first amenity, we have worked with the engineering department to plan for a 30 by 30 feet shade structure at the location where I have the blue star. And then the cost of the shade structure and the concrete slab is about $46,000. It's a by-board quote. We have just got approval from University of Houston on engineering drawings on December 11th. So we already gave the vendor, the by-board vendor notice to proceed. For the skate park relocation project, we originally proposed at the Crown Festival Park. After we analyzed the location and we feel the Imperial Park is actually a better location with a lot more advantages. So basically, we own the land of the Imperial Park. It is also next to the existing rec center, the Imperial IPRC. It also has a restroom nearby and is adjacent to plenty of parking and trails. And also that area is right now is just no use. So that's a perfect size for to relocate that skate park. We have this project is already out for bid, and then the bid opening is tomorrow. We are very anxious to know the cost of that, and then we'll start the construction very soon. After we are able to relocate the skate park equipment, we will do the resurfacing of the existing skate park facility and make it a covered and lit pickleball court. This is very good news for the pickleball community in Sugar Land. With that, I'm going to move on to the Old Imperial Farm site improvement project. After, I think the last July, I presented a concept plan for the site improvement. It's basically the rendering on the left. It includes some vehicular access, parking spaces, sidewalks, landscape, and plaza, and signage, and set furnishing and art. And then I also presented a phasing plan, which is the second diagram. We divide the project into two 4 phases. So the first phase is really the yellow hatched area in the center. It's mainly the cemetery restoration and some professional services, including archaeology study. Before I move on to the restoration part, I just want to show you a couple of images of the cemetery that was before the restoration.
I have a question. Can you go back to another slide, please? Can you point to me which one is phase 1 and phase 2?
Yeah, sure. So this is the proposed site improvement. It's about 4.5 acres. And this area is the existing cemetery. So the phase 1 is really to focus on the existing gravestones, the elements over there, which I will explain a little bit later. So phase 1 is mainly here. And then the phase 2, we want to be able to create a vehicular access so people can drive into the project and also provide some parking spaces, and then have connected pedestrian circulation so that people can walk into the area. And then the phase 3 is basically the green area, which include a decomposed granite plaza around the existing cemetery and some landscaping. We discussed this about like 36 trees to kind of help remember the six areas we have around this plaza. And also we want to have some entry landscaping and also landscape buffer between the vehicular road and the sort of quiet cemetery area. And then the phase, and then, the landscape is actually the, phase 4, sorry about that, which is the purple area. And then the green is phase 3. Okay. Thank you, sure. So talking about the cemetery restoration, the first part is we have to ask us the cemetery specialist, a preservation specialist to provide an assessment to each gravestone. So they look at the condition of the gravestone and then make recommendations on what can be done to clean it, to repair it. So they did that for each gravestone on site. And then because no matter how hard or how well we repair the gravestones, eventually they are going to deteriorate. Those concrete was very, old, like reinforcement, they will deteriorate. So we decided to install a black granite permanent pillow marker for each barrier. In order to do that, and then we had to do research and verify some other historic documents, including the 1994 cemetery survey, and also the convict records of the Texas State Prison, and also the conduct register information from the state prison in Huntsville, Texas. So by doing all the research and verification, we're able to double check the name, birth year, and death year, and also the prison number for each barrier. So that, and then those are some of the pictures showing the work in progress. The first picture showing how the cemetery preservation specialists, they were carefully kind of excavate the existing bases, try to align and level them. And then the second and the third picture show how they try their best to put all the broken pieces together. And the last one show how we actually hired a local contractor to repaint the right across in the center. And also they did the power wash to the brick base in the center. After restoration, those are a few images showing how the cemetery look now. And then that, just by the way, that black granite is the pillow marker I was talking about. We also did hired archaeology consultant to do the additional archaeology study for the site improvement area. They, based on their study and also the archaeology survey back in 2018, they concluded that there's no further study needed, which is really good news. And then the chart on the left is a quick recap of the project expenses so far. We have spent about $60,000, $6,381 on the cemetery preservation and also the archaeology study. For the next step, we would like to repair the fence and the gate. The left two images show the existing condition, and then the right image is a historic image that shows how the fence and the gate used to look like. So we would like to try our best to repair to that look. And then we're also, if funding available, we would like to install interpretive signage to describe this restoration effort, and also we can potentially do the site survey and the geotechnical report to prepare for the next stage.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you saying, okay, we have a hurricane fence there now, we're wanting to remove the hurricane fence and put a barbed wire fence to make it look restored from its original look?
This fence right now is over there, and then there's a chain link fence right next to it. So they are right next to it. Right now, we are not looking into take those fences off yet. But we just want to have the opportunity to repair the original fence, because some of the posts are already kind of falling down, and then some of them are already have very, very tiny weak connection with the ground. So we just want to repair that, and then to take out the chain link fence. I think when we do the next phase, when we are able to provide a vehicular and pedestrian access to the site, we should be able to take down the chain link fence because we need to, we want people to be able to come and visit. So, but right now, the goal is just to repair the existing or old fence.
The finished product, you're gonna have a barbed wire fence going around the whole thing.
The finished product, we're kind of still thinking that right now there is barbed wire fence, and then we're thinking about kind of a little bit more upgrade to this, but somehow keep the original look. We're still trying to look at some examples, and then we hope to, restore this type of gate, and then the wood and use some kind of barbed wire, but that's more. It's a little bit more upgraded, so it's more stable and it stay longer. Yeah.
The Jennifer's question, I mean, the pictures at the beginning kind of show access from different things and trees. So I think the question really is, are you gonna have barbed wire all the way around or just kind of replicate the front picture, kind of the entrance? Would kind of be my question. I don't know why you need barbed wire all the way around.
Well, that kind of takes back to the history. Used to, when this site was in a farmland, the barbed wire was more of a preventing cows or animals to get into that. That was the intent. Now we don't have that concern. Talking about historical restoration, we can discuss more, with the team, how much we restore to the original look and how much we want to keep it open. It's definitely a question we need to discuss. And we don't have the defined answer yet, but if you have any suggestion, we can definitely, incorporate.
For the parking, to create parking spaces would say to me that we're gonna have people going there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So a while back, we had potentially discussed some sort of a centerpiece monument eventually, and to commemorate Labor Day. And have that potentially be a spot for that, for the community. That was an idea back in 2018. So I'm thinking that's why we would create a parking lot for people to for people to come to park, to attend something, right?
Right, yeah, we need to, if we want to improve the cemetery site, we want people to be able to come visit and engage and create more space, gathering or memorial space for the people.
Also, behind the cemetery, there's a bayou.
Yeah.
And when we get a significant amount of rain, there's probably what I heard, a quarter of that cemetery that goes underwater. If we get a lot of rain. So I think I think that some of us in drainage already know about this potentially. I don't know. But my feedback to you is that was a concern brought up by some community members, just if we were going to make some enhancements to the cemetery to make it a more respected area. To look at that, I don't know if we want to put an allow for some drainage of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, drainage is definitely important. When we do the first, right now there's a conceptual plan, and then if we move forward, we need to do a schematic design. That's why we need I was talking about a site survey. So with the site survey, we will be able to know the existing topography, and also based on that, we can work with the consultant to have the proposed grading plan in order to address the drainage issue.
Yeah, I'm all for doing enhancements to the cemetery to make it look appropriate. I kind of want to know like what the purpose of the parking lot and like what what is that gonna lead to? Like if we're having a gathering there or it's just 10 spots for people to come and park or I mean, that's just
Yeah.
kind of.
Is it not for the family members that want to hustle?
This is back from the 1800s.
But there are people that are gonna be related and that's the only reason I kind of thought that's.
Right,
part of
I don't
it.
know, but I don't know that.
Actually, those are all
Like,
very good questions. I don't know how much time I have. If I have a little bit more time, can I answer?
It's good here.
Yeah. Okay,
this becomes a lot.
Yeah. So for this entrance and the parking spaces, we're just thinking about the original, we just get people to come to the site. Family members or any public community members, they can come. And then we actually designed a decomposed granite plaza around the existing cemetery. So there will be spaces for people to gather or hold events, and we plan to have site furnishing and signage at the plaza too. Now, this area is also a part of the bigger 65-acre parkland. And then I wish I have that master plan here as well. So when we're able to, afford or hopefully get funding actually approved for this park, this entrance actually designed to be extended to a bigger parking lot.
Okay.
And that parking lot will be not only useful for the park users, but also maintenance vehicles. And then certainly the cemetery. And then on the rest of it, we also have parking spaces, more parking spaces. So it's actually a part of a bigger picture of that 65-acre park.
Maybe that's where I'm going in my mind is trying to figure out like what we're building this for that's going to lead to. Okay, it's part of the full 65 acres.
Yeah, this is a small portion is part of the 65-acre. I'm hoping the idea vision is we design the cemetery together with the 65-acre park design. So things all kind of work together. But we don't know what the funding is and where the funding comes first. But for specific for cemetery, this is actually designed with the bigger 65-acre park in mind.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then I would just say, and I don't know if you were going with it, but aesthetically, barbed wire probably isn't the nicest thing how it looks. And so I don't know that was, you necessarily want to bring that back, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be necessary because we don't have five running around.
Exactly.
Out there anymore.
That's also.
Sure, that will save some cost too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9, director's report. Oh, one more, I'm sorry. Item 8, workshop.
The B part of it.
Review of and discussion of an update of the Imperial Historic District project.
Okay, so it's been about a year since staff and the city announced our partnership with Puma Development for the Imperial Historic District project. So we wanted to bring back a quick high-level update for the board today, especially because we do have some new members. So we're going to go through that here with you today. So we'll talk about the project, the community engagement that's taken place over the year, the work completed to date, an update on the Char House, and the next steps. And as a reminder, this is one of the city's highest priorities, so staff dedicates a lot of time to this every year. So we're excited to share this update with you. So just an overview of the project itself. So again, it's just envisioned to be a mixed use, walkable district with food and beverage, office, eateries, residential, museums, and then obviously the main focus being preserving the historical buildings and the history of the site itself. It's where we got our name. It's very important to our community. So first and foremost, that's the city's number one priority is saving the Char House and really focusing on saving this area for the sake of our namesake. So community engagement, we approach this project very differently. I mean, typically when we do projects like this, it's not announced publicly until way further down the line. So we because of the sentiment around this project and how important it is to our community, we decided to try something different and announced it before we really even knew much. So it was announced back in December with the very vague details on what was to be expected because we wanted to kind of gauge the public sentiment on it. So we have a landing page that's created on the city's website. If you haven't been, please go. It's kept up to date, has FAQs, has an updated schedule, and kind of runs through all of this. We've also had continual conversations with residents around the area and citywide, answering questions, addressing concerns they may have, and keeping them up to date on the progress. We've had 2 town halls. We've done sentiment surveys, countless social media posts, and next door posts about meetings and just updates. And then there's been obviously participating in HOA meetings, quarterly HOAs, really trying to spread the messages through all tactics because we want to reach everybody. And then there's been a lot of media around this project that has also circulated some questions and interviews throughout. So to date, this is the work that's been completed or approved. So the city has approved a $5 million reimbursement agreement for pre-development and construction costs of the Char House. This is important because any of this work that is done, again, it's reimbursed. So we get access to all those deliverables. So the thought here was, if for whatever reason the project fell through in the early stages, we would still have access to all of those studies and visioning documents and all of those plans. So then we could put them to use at the next project. So there's approved lease agreement for the future Char House office space. There's an approved amendment to the land use plan. There's an approved general development plan, which is the first step of a 2-step zoning process. And then there's been pre-development work done at the Char House. So I want to reiterate and confirm that at this stage, no work can be done on the site. There can be no construction or anything. So anything that's done out there right now is due diligence. It could be surveying, archaeological, things like that, but no actual work can be done. So here's an overview of the reimbursements we've done today. Again, we have the $5 million reimbursement. The first $1.5 million is available for pre-closing. So again, they have a lot of consultants already on contract. So architecture, landscape, traffic, civil engineer, and again, what they have to provide the city staff with proof of the deliverables, proof of payment, and then we reimburse based on receiving those. So a main factor of the financing of a project like this is the historic tax credit process. It's a vital piece of the financing tool. It takes a while to get through. So if you have not watched, on September 5th, Urbano Architects and Puma Development did a presentation to City Council that was very in-depth on the work that's been done for the Char House from the historic tax credit perspective and done by Urbano Architects. So I encourage you to watch it if you have not. This is just a little snippet of what they provided. But they have already, and this is for the Char House specifically too. So they've already submitted and received approval from the state level historic tax historic credit, and then the federal level. So that was a 2-part. You have to get state approval, then federal, and then they're in the progress of getting the preliminary design approved by the state and federal, which I think actually may at this point be pretty close to approval. And then after completion of the work is when you get approval from part 3. And then obviously there's even more stipulations of how long the building has to be active. And so it's a very, very in-depth process that they have to go through and really prove that they're restoring this building to as close as the original state as possible. Staff and the Heritage Foundation dug through old files to find pictures of the landscaping, pictures of the flagpoles that were up, and they have to try to replicate it as closely as possible to get that financing. So it was a huge effort. Many people helped, and it was really awesome to see all those old pictures. So again, for those of you who have not seen the presentation, these were just a few examples that Urbano provided. These are some renderings and visionary images of what they've put together. Again, these are renderings, images, they could change. But some of the Char House, rooftop bar, this piece on the bottom right, that's an addition that would potentially be added. This building is 100 years old almost. There's no bathrooms, stairwells, elevators. It's not even close to ADA compliant. So they had to get approval from the historic tax credit group, but to add an addition that would bring it up to a code that's acceptable for today's world. And then here's some visions for the interior. So the top 2 sides are the lobby area. So touching on some historical elements when you walk in and trying to tell the story of what this area is. And then these are some examples of potential office space, restaurant space. This was an example that was shared by Urbano Architects. The Char House itself is a very expensive piece. It's an old building. It was built around a huge piece of machinery. There's a huge hole in the middle. It's not made to be an office or restaurant or any of that. So to get it rehab to what we want to see, the cost at this point was looking at almost 59 million. So a huge part of what has been worked on is the financing pieces of this project and how we focus on phase one being the Char House restoration before we move into the other parts of the project. And so the next steps, again, the financial support for the Char House and public infrastructure is what's being focused on primarily with staff and internal people at this point. Land acquisition, obviously Puma and them need to close on the land. And then additional financing. And then before they could ever start construction, they would have to come back and get a final development plan. So they would have to, that would be public hearings and go through the whole process. So you'd get a lot more information there too on what's to be expected. And then in a perfect world, if the stars align, we would complete and or break ground by 2025, which is the 100th anniversary. So with that, I will, if you haven't been to the website, please go to the city's website. This orange box is always on the bottom right. It'll take you right to the landing page. Again, we keep it updated at all times. Any questions that I can answer? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9, Director's Report.
All right, so I think we have several items that we're going to cover, and I have 4 minutes or 3 minutes to do so, Anna, to keep us on time. Good afternoon, everybody, and glad that you were able to join us, and thank you for enduring. We had a lot of information to share and just some procedural things that we need to take care of. So I wanted to share a few things, especially on our marketing program. So we have the Economic Development and Tourism Department and Community Planning and Redevelopment. We all work as one as it relates to the marketing of our city because we are working with external partners to either get that business here or draw that investment here. And so we have Violet PR is our new marketing contract, and they had their in-market tour. And so you can see they visited the Char House as well as various other locations throughout the city to really get immersed into the city of Sugar Land and see all of the wonderful things that we have to offer so that they can do a great job in helping us tell our story. We have the Lake Point project. So this recently, actually last night, we had the second reading for the code for the Lake Point redevelopment district. So it approved a land use plan amendment as well as created a code in our zoning code or development code. I'm probably not using all the correct terminology, but for Lake Point specifically, and then rezone 69 acres of that land to the Lake Point redevelopment district. We're continuing to work with the prospective buyer PCD, but this was a huge step in that direction because it provides a lot of certainty for all parties on what we would like to see for this site. So for those that aren't familiar, Floor has had their corporate campus in the Lake Point area since the 1980s. They're vacating that corporate campus sometime in mid-2024. And so it's an incredible redevelopment opportunity for the city of Sugar Land. And this zoning code is a great first step in terms of what we would like to see that area to be redeveloped as. And then some other marketing updates is Southwest Water Company is expanding their headquarters. So they've been here, but they're expanding and moving to Sugar Land Town Square. They were in the business park, but they're moving to Sugar Land Town Square and expanding. They're taking over the Minute Maid space. And so there has been some great publications and kind of in CoStar and other industry related articles regarding this announcement and their relocation to Town Square, but also expansion here in the city of Sugar Land. For those that don't know, Minute Maid redid that space in the Minute Maid, we call it the Minute Maid building. And then COVID just really hit Coca-Cola hard. And so they did some major restructuring. And so that space has been vacant since then. And so we're really happy that Southwest Water is coming in and taking that space. And it's been some great PR for the city as well.
How many floors is that?
It's 2 floors.
And which floors are they?
4 and 5. And there's a stairwell, like an opening between 4 and 5 with a big stairwell in between the two. So it's really functions as one space. And it's great because if they could have only done like, if you only found a tenant that wanted 4 or 5, there would have been major tenant improvements because you would have to close up, the floor. And then Visit Sugarland had a soft opening for their sweet shop at Smart Financial Center. A grand opening will be coming next month. I heard that there was just tons of activity in the sweet shop for the show. And so the next time you're at Smart Financial Center, I would really encourage you to go and check it out. And I know there's a lot of great merchandise in there as well. So I think this has been a great move in that direction.
But it's open now too.
Yes. And then I wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up of what's coming up for 4B in this next quarter. So the Fund Grant program that was the joint CIP program that we've reimagined into the Fund Grant Fostering Unique Neighborhoods. And so those applications did open October 1st and have now closed. We've received 11 applications. We're going to be bringing forward some recommendations on those applications at the January meeting. And then Great Homes, the FY24 program will be starting. So applications, that got duplicated there, but it'll be opening February 1st. But the design program is still available. So if you would like them if you know any neighbors, friends that live in Sugarland, we'd really encourage them to utilize the design program. It's such an amazing opportunity to get that design rendering done. And then you can get your bids put together and get ready for that February 1st opening for the exterior piece of the program. And I think that's it. All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, happy holidays. Motion to adjourn.
All ayes? Aye.